After my release from the hospital, I was placed on large doses of theophylline and prednisone. My weight skyrocketed, and the medication caused me to become hostile and disoriented. I really didn't want to live. Then a wonderful friend gave me a flyer on Dr. Batmangalij's book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. I quickly mailed a check and a letter to the doctor pleading for a fast delivery. To my complete surprise, he called me personally and started helping me by telephone to get off the medication, which was inappropriate for my condition at this time, and asked me to drink at least 3 liters of water a day and use a small amount of salt. He also asked me to walk in an indoor shopping mall for 15 minutes a day. I can now walk for 30 minutes a day, and my breathing is 100% better. As of this date, October 31st, 1994, I am no longer on any medication for asthma. I have not used an inhaler or medication of any sort for more than 5 months. When I start any sort of mild wheezing, I just drink a glass of water and take a little salt, and I'm fine. And guess what? All of the wonderful water and walking has made me lose 35 pounds. I'm now back to my desired weight, and I look young, vibrant, and healthy again. There are millions of Americans out there who need to get this message. They suffer from AIDS, asthma, arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, etc. Everyone in America could benefit from reading Dr. Batmangalij's books. Very sincerely, Priscilla Preston. I couldn't agree more. So, okay, that's just one testimonial. Okay, so, and take a look what I found. I was walking around the internet. Yeah, a salt pipe. Interesting. Yeah, this is sold or marketed to people that suffer from asthma and allergies. And they claim that it totally works. And it looks like, Dr. B's word is getting out. People are realizing it's just salt and moisture that is needed. And the bronchioles should relax. Let me know. Tell me. So allergies, basically the same story. It relates to that histamine production. When your body's dehydrated, histamine is produced. And we all know the answer that they give to the allergies: antihistamine. It's always anti. It's just anti your body. Antibiotics, yeah? And biotic means life. It's anti-life. All right, simple solution. Water. Water is life-giving. We know that. Water and salt, okay? Real easy. Okay, anginal pains. Okay, this also has to do with, the hormones that constrict the bronchioles. At least this is Dr. B's theory. I'm not sure if it's true, but he says that those hormones spill over out of the lungs into the heart and causes these painful constrictions of the heart muscles. So there was one testimonial of one guy. He had anginal pains for 5 years. I think he did a radio program with Dr. B. And afterwards he took his advice to heart and he wrote him a letter. He's like, oh my gosh, 1 week later after following your program, I have no more anginal pains. And then there was another woman. She was 90 years old, and she learned that she could just drink water instead of taking her nitroglycerin pills. She was fine. No more anginal pain. There was another, I won't read you the whole testimonial, but there's another one. It's quite long. This guy had, 6 months before he learned of this program of just water and salt. He had 2 heart attacks. He was loaded up on a variety of medications: cholesterol reducing, beta blockers, nitroglycerin, and he had all the horrible side effects. He was losing his vision, and his memory. He was losing his memory, had prostate problems, I don't know, everything. And 6 months after he started the program, he went to a totally normal heart, no drugs, his vision was back, he has his memories, no problem. And, he went back to the doctor and they did all the tests and they said, your heart is completely back to normal. They're just absolutely amazed. And that's all he did. He drank, he drank his water half an hour before his meals. And he used his salt and he walked twice. He did walk twice a day. So, if you've got, we know heart attacks, that's, number 1 or number 2 cause of death, at least in America. Yeah. Cure your heart. Dr. Oz wants you to do that too. I don't know. Okay, now this one's good too. Okay, high blood pressure. All right, this is called the silent killer. Okay, let me do my best to explain how this works. Okay. Okay. In your blood vessels that are all running through your body, right? You've got blood, you've got fluid running through them, right? If you don't have enough fluid, you're dehydrated, right? Your blood is mostly water. If you're dehydrated, what happens is the vessels contract to take up the slack. Yeah? Like if you have a garden hose and it's on a kind of a slow trickle, you're going to have water and air both running through the hose, right? You can't have that in these hoses in our body. There must not be any gases running through. It must be completely fluid. So if there's not enough fluid to fill up these little vessels and hoses, they will contract down. They will also shunt off some capillaries. They'll close them off, so no blood will be even transported to certain parts of the body. Okay. Now this can happen to the smaller capillaries, to the brain, to the heart. Okay. Right there, you see how could a stroke be caused? Because the body is trying to. All the vessels are having to deal with just the small amount of volume of fluid that it has to work with. It's got to have to cut off some and squeeze in the other. Now, what the doctors describe high blood pressure as, just like the name implies, high blood pressure. They're exactly backwards on this. Just it would be comical if it wasn't so damn tragic. Okay, they say that it's you've got too much fluid running through your veins, and the blood is pushing against your capillaries or your arteries and your vessels. You've got too much fluid running through. Dr. B says, no, that's not what it is. It's measuring the tension of the vessels. It's like, when you tense up a muscle, right? It's tense. That's what they're measuring, not the pressure of the blood against the wall of the vessel. They're measuring the actual pressure of the vessel that's had to clamp down on the little limited amount of fluid. This is why it causes the strokes, the aneurysms, heart attacks, yeah? Then they turn around, they give the salt the blame, right? Okay, so you can almost see why they do. It's kind of like the little girl walking in and seeing grandpa's leg. They see salt and extra water in the body. That's because the body has gone into a desperate state of wanting to hang on to what little water it's got. Yeah, causing edema. It hangs onto the salt because it needs the salt to hang onto the water. So then you've got this buildup of this salt water stuff, yeah, called edema. So what do the doctors do? They prescribe diuretics, okay? Diuretics to pull this liquid out of the body, which is what? What's that going to do? It's just going to further exacerbate this problem. Now, here's an interesting story. I had just bought this book, had not yet read it. I was visiting with my mother, and we took my grandmother to lunch the day before. And while we were there, she kept having to go to the bathroom. And I was like, well, what's up? Why's Grandma keep going to the bathroom? She said, oh, these doctors, they gave her some diuretics, and, 'cause she's got the edema, and so she has to go to the bathroom all the time. And I was like, oh, okay. It didn't really mean a whole lot to me at lunch, right? Then I start reading this book, and I read what Dr. B says, and then I connect that, what I had just learned about my grandmother, to a book that I had read. Excellent book called The Long Walk. Yeah, it was written a long time ago. It's a true story, autobiography, fascinating story. Anyway, I don't want to give the story away, but there's this part where some people, they are walking through the Gobi Desert, and they have absolutely no provisions with them, including water. And so they're going through this desert, and they're mentioning how one of the characters who doesn't make it through the desert, their legs were completely swollen, yeah? And so swollen to the fact that they had to cut their pant legs. And it just, hit me. I said, oh my goodness. Obviously, these people did not have too much fluid in their bodies. This is how their body responded to extreme dehydration. I mean, these people, a couple of them didn't make it through the desert. The rest miraculously did. But obviously they were in extreme state of dehydration, and this is what the body did. It hung on to what little water it did have, the salt, and somehow it created this edemic situation. And the doctors are doing the exact opposite of what needs to be done. And I just thought to my poor grandmother, I thought, and by the way, she never, I put this two and two together, and I explained it to my mother, and she said, yeah, I've tried to get her to drink water. She refuses. She drinks only coffee, which is very dehydrating. I'll explain that later. maybe some iced tea. That's it. She refuses to drink a single glass of water. I mean, she was grossly dehydrated. And what did the doctors do? They decided to suck a little bit more out of her. Okay? So this is what is taken directly from Merck's